notable difference between Republicans, the Trump administration, and some of the progressive, Democrats who are running for president, like Bernie Sanders, when it comes to foreign policy. Now, the Bush administration, Freudian slip, the Trump administration is pushing for war with Iran. And recently, Tom Cotton, who is a Republican, was asked about this and what is likely to happen if we do engage in war. And here's what he had to say.
Could we win a war with Iran?
Yes.
That didn't take you a second.
2 strikes, the first strike and the last strike.
What are the conditions or the circumstances that would justify going to war with Iran?
Well, if Iran struck out militarily against the United States or against our allies in the region, then I would certainly expect a devastating response against Iran.
As somebody who fought in 2 fronts in the Middle East, both in Iraq and in Afghanistan, do you think it would be a good idea to go to war with Iran?
No, I don't advocate military action against Iran. I'm simply delivering the message that if Iran were to attack the United States, it would be a grave miscalculation on their part, and there would be a furious response. Now, we don't want to govern Iran. We don't want to rule 80 million Iranians. We want 80 million Iranians to be able to govern themselves.
Oh, but you do want to rule 80 million Iranians. I mean, what is the purpose of regime change wars? The purpose of regime change wars is to, essentially install a U.S.-backed president, leader, whatever you want to call it, who's going to do the bidding of the United States. That's exactly what you want. So, in effect, you are controlling the fate, the livelihood, the everything of the Iranian people as a result of a regime change war. Also, I want to open it up to you guys. This whole notion of, oh yeah, 2 strikes, we're done. We're done. We're gonna defeat them. I mean, again, we've said this before, but the military capability of Iran is very different from the military capability of Iraq. They are stronger. We've been at war for how long now? Over 2 decades in multiple countries. So we're spread thin. And so, I don't know, I think that that's overconfidence to say the least, but I want to get your thoughts.
I think it's, sorry, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
I just think it's disgusting, even far beyond like overconfidence. That is not the tone of the seriousness that you should have when talking about killing innocent civilians, killing members of our military, like talking about 2 strikes. It's not a video game.
Right.
You're talking about taking out a country.
I was trying to find the exact quote because I want to make sure my memory serves me correctly. But when we went to war with Iraq, the Bush administration, was talking about how quick and easy it was going to be. I think it said 2 weeks. Maybe it was Afghanistan. I'm not sure. But when we went into one of those wars, we talked about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We'll be out in 2 weeks. It'll be so easy. They're weak. They're nothing. They're nobodies. Easy. Out of there.
I remember that.
Are we out of there yet? Are we complaining that some people then tried to come out of there? I remember when Obama, he's withdrawing, he's running away. Well, I forget the terms they used, but Obama's running away from the war. I thought it was supposed to be done. Now the Tom Cotton's talking about 2 strikes. First strike and last strike. You're not a badass. You're not cool, and you don't sound like you're like this military hero that's this tough guy. But that's all we ever push in America is how bad we are. We're gonna destroy you. Then after it happens, we go, I have no idea how it lasted so long. You know what? We can't fight people when they're not in uniform. This is harder than we could have seen. Who could have thought it could have lasted forever? No, I think you could have thought it could last forever because your buddies that create the war machines and create the military assaults that happen and profit from it, they know it can happen forever. And you know what they like? That it can happen forever. And that's what they paid you to do, to make sure that it happens forever. And bang the drum beats for war, because we're going to make some money off this.
Right.
And those 80 million Iranians that you want to govern themselves, how many will be left after you go through and destroy the whole country? How many are we going to kill? Who cares? Oh, they look like military and enemy combatants. Let's just kill them. How many are left? How many are left to do any of the governing for themselves? It's frustrating because all of this has been put in front of us in plain sight for decades, and we keep falling for it.
So there is a lawmaker on the left who is speaking out against this proposed war, and I want you to hear from him, just to juxtapose what we're hearing on the left versus what we're hearing on the right. Take a look.
If you want to know what perpetual warfare is, never-ending war, that's what a war with Iran would mean. The United States Congress must do everything it can to prevent a war with Iran. And by the way, not inconsequentially, the Constitution of the United States is very clear. And that is that it is the Congress and not the president who determines whether or not we go to war.
So Bernie Sanders is right about that. The very last point he made was a good point, but I also want to note that there have been Republican leaders and Democratic leaders, including Obama, who did not wait for Congress to decide whether or not we engage in war. And that's an important point to bring up. Look, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, once you set a dangerous precedent, you need to consider the fact that the other party can come into power and take advantage of that dangerous precedent. Now, when it comes to war, I think that, establishment politicians, regardless of political affiliation, love perpetual war. Like, there is a profit motive behind it, and I think that they push for it. But you do have some of these, non-establishment politicians who are trying to break that cycle. And I love hearing these types of statements from Bernie Sanders. When it comes to being anti-regime change war, Tulsi Gabbard's been really strong on that, and I think that's important. I'd like to hear more from Elizabeth Warren on this issue. She's done a lot on economic policy. But the point is, we're hearing a very, very different message coming from the left versus the right.
Just ask yourself, are you ready to go into war? You yourself personally, not because you have a flag draped around your shoulders. Are you strapping the gun on your back? You putting on the equipment? Are you huffing out there? No, you're not going to do it. And they're sending their kids? Because that's that's what we're not talking about. 120,000 troops just to send a message. What happens when it gets real? More. That's what happens.